Now, Gunna, want to talk a little bit about Gunna's current situation behind bars, what's going on in his case as we speak. Also want to go over his case briefly. First, I want to start with this recent clip that went viral of the judge who's handling this RICO case. His name is Judge Muriel Glanville. Essentially what happened is Gunna got denied bond for the third time, and then Gunna's people, his family and friends who were in the courtroom, vocally expressed some disdain for his decision. Judge Glanville then ended up threatening Gunna's family as they were all walking out. The clip has gone viral, so I want to play the clip right now and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
The other challenge that our imperfect system kind of just hasn't figured out a way to kind of deal with, other than reconsidering the issue of bond and changing circumstances of bond, is acknowledged for proof that may or may not come at trial, but the state bears that burden at this point in time. And it's not a perfect system in the sense that we won't know until that time whether or not many of these statements that have been proffered by the state come to pass or come to fruition. That's no consultation or consolation for your client, Mr. Samuel and Mr. Sadow. And but unfortunately, that's the best that the system can offer at this point in time, given the status of the case law and the like. The only thing I can potentially do is, like I said, I will try the case as expeditiously as possible. But at this point in time, I don't find any change in circumstances that would allow me to, or move me from changing my decision as to bond. And if anybody's in the gallery and you can't otherwise control yourself, or otherwise you want to make any appropriate comments, then you can leave at this point in time. No harm will come, or nothing else will occur. But if you remain in this courtroom and make any outbursts, I'll have you arrested.
So there's been some criticism directed towards the judge for this decision, and I think that's crazy because the man is just doing his job. Considering the weight of this entire case, I don't think it's fair for people to look at this and say they're doing Gunna dirty. This is a RICO case right here, and things won't be as direct and straightforward as they would have been otherwise. And plus, the court of law doesn't care about sympathy, and they shouldn't. That aside, Gunna's legal team have been trying to get him out of prison ahead of his trial, which is coming up in January. They've been pushing for what they call a pre-trial release, which is what it sounds like. Gunna has, of course, like Thug and all the other YSL members, been locked up since May of this year. At a hearing back in May, Gunna's lawyer pushed for a bond already back then. However, Gunna got denied bond back then because the prosecutors in his case warned the judge, stating that Gunna might partake in this thing we call witness intimidation. Essentially, the prosecutors said, you release this guy and some of the witnesses in his case will get intimidated by him, and so the judge denied his bond. About a month later, Young Thug's bond also got denied on similar grounds. The prosecutors made allegations against Gunna and Thug, claiming that there were numerous threats to kill or harm witnesses. Gunna's legal counsel, they've been trying to fight this thing by stating that these claims the prosecution have been making are baseless. They've been saying that there's not a shred of evidence that supports the decision that Gunna should stay locked up. So prior to this, he was denied bond twice, and then this is the third time, which is the clip you saw. So the judge has obviously been siding with the prosecution. Gunna's legal team aren't too happy about it. The specific claims the prosecution made against Gunna, which swayed the judge, is this. They were saying that a co-defendant in this case, so another YSL member, said that he would be willing to kill someone on the behalf of Gunna. The judge heard that, and things didn't end up in Gunna's favor. Going over the specifics on this back and forth between the prosecution and Gunna's legal team, one of the prosecutors in his case, her name is Adrienne Love, she made claims against Gunna saying that one of the co-defendants said, I will still whack someone for you, and he was supposedly talking to Gunna when he said that. Gunna's lawyer claimed that they hadn't seen any evidence that would support claims like this. The judge then looked at the prosecutor and said, hey, where's the evidence that you're talking about? And then they responded by saying, we already thought we had handed it over, but you'll have it at the end of the day. That was enough to sway the judge to keep Gunna locked up. Gunna's lawyer then expressed that he didn't like the fact that Judge Glanville sided with the prosecution because you or I haven't seen the so-called evidence, so these claims could be false allegations. Judge Glanville then explained that he doesn't believe that the prosecution would be making false claims like this, and so he sided with them. So this is one big reason why Gunna is still not being released ahead of his trial. If these claims the prosecution made happen to be true and they provide that evidence, things are going to be very bad for Gunna. By the way, the judge is obviously just doing his job, right? Like I said earlier, although Gunna's lawyers strongly feel like the justice system is, doing their client dirty, I look at it and I say, when you're behind bars for RICO charges, things are gonna be everything but fair. It is what it is. I mean, this is an 88-page indictment right here, and Gunna is on it. Although for Gunna, the allegations he has against him in his RICO case aren't really, you know, as close to as bad as what Thug is facing. By the way, some of the allegations against Gunna are the following, so let's go over them. Number 1, theft by stolen property. The other one is probably the worst one, possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute. Another allegation Gunna has against him, possession of hydrocodone with the intent to distribute. Hydrocodone, for anyone who doesn't know, that's codeine. Another allegation, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. Another allegation that Gunna is facing, and this one dates back to May 18, 2018. What happened back then, Gunna and Thug got stopped by police in traffic for speeding. Apparently there was another car right behind them which contained 4 different people, I'm assuming YSL members, and those people, they were all armed with a bunch of guns, AK-47s with 30-round mags. The indictment calls that an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. My interpretation of some of these allegations Gunna has against him. Gunna, as far as we know, isn't involved in any murders or anything like that. He is, however, according to this indictment, a part of the conspiracy. Not only that, but Gunna did also carry out crimes like possessing codeine, marijuana, methamphetamine with the intent to distribute. So if they can actually prove that Gunna did any of these things, especially if they can prove that he was pushing meth and codeine, that would make him an active member of what the prosecution calls YSL, the criminal organization. So from that angle, if they have tangible evidence, Gunna will serve time, no question. The only question in that case would be, how long will that time be? Like I said, for Gunna, as far as we know, he hasn't been involved in any murders or anything like that. So if we compare Gunna and Thug, just for contrast's sake, things are looking quite, you know, quote unquote good for him. I highly doubt Gunna is gonna get out of this scot-free though, because the way I look at it, you get arrested for RICO charges, it ain't by mistake, especially considering the fact that they've been investigating YSL since 2013. It's gonna be interesting to see how things end up, and I hope Gunna is innocent, by the way. It'd be very unfortunate if he actually carried out the crimes he's been accused of. If that ends up being the case, then it is what it is, but I hope he's innocent. Anyway, any thoughts on his Gunna update before you click off this video? Obviously like it, thank you, I appreciate that. Also, check out my last video, it's on the right side of the screen. Also, if you're not subscribed, most definitely hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, have a good motherfucking day, or night, depending on where you're at. I'm out, peace.